Yo, how's it going, folks? It's me again, your boy Tabo, and this is another lesson on SVGs for the web. And today's lesson is going to be on gradients. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use gradients. Basically, with SVG, you've got two types of gradients that you can use. One is linear gradient, and then the other is radial. So I'm going to start with the linear gradient, and then I will take you through the different attributes or properties as I go. Okay, so I've already got a HTML file, so I'm gonna start creating my HTML body. Okay, then I'm gonna my SVG. So remember, don't forget to always size your canvas, otherwise you might run into some trouble later. Okay, so now that that's done, what we're going to do is define the gradient before we use it. So in the tutorial on drawing different shapes, I introduced you to this element. So it's called defs. Well, that's what I call it. I mean, there's no other way that I think you could call it. So defs, and then in here, this is where I'm going to define my gradient. Okay, so now we're going to start drawing the linear gradient tag. So we're going to say linear gradient, and then we're going to say x1 is equal to 0 and x2 is equal to 1. And I will demonstrate to you just later on just what that actually means. 0. Okay, so I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to create another, I'll say linear. Okay, so inside I'm gonna create another tag. It's called stop. Okay, now stop is what it helps me to determine how many colors, first of all, I would like to have, and how they're distributed. You know, how far should the color stretch within the shape. So I'm gonna say stop, and then inside I'm gonna use the attribute offset, and then I'm gonna say my offset is going to be 0%. So this is the starting point, and then I'm gonna then declare the stop color, and the stop color will be green. So I'm gonna create 2 more of these. Okay, so here I'm gonna say 50. So I want from 0 to 50, I want the color to be green, and then from 50 till the end it's gonna be yellow green. Okay, yellow green, and then here it's gonna be yellow again. I mean, here it's gonna be yellow. Then I will say 100%. Okay, so then afterwards I'm going to show you what this does. Okay, so now I'm gonna create a rect, and then on this rect I'm gonna use the gradient that I just defined to color it. Okay, so we're gonna say rect, and then I'm gonna place it 15 units on the X, 50 units, and then another 50 units. Then I'm gonna give it a width of 200, and then I give it a height of 70. Okay. And then I will fill it with the gradient that I've just defined. So how you would do that is you would say URL, then brackets, and then inside then you say grd/1, which is the ID of the gradient that I just defined. Okay, so now we're gonna have a look and see what that looks like. So I'm gonna open it in our favorite browser. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's what that does, right? And so I wanted to explain what this x1 and x2 are doing. Okay, now what that means is that this determines how much of the gradient will be covering the shape. So when x1 is 0, it means that it's gonna start filling it right from where the shape starts, on the exact point where the shape starts. And then when x2 is 1, it means that the last point will be exactly where the shape ends, right? So it's basically going to cover the exact size of the shape. If I were, for instance, to make x2 0.5, then it would only cover, the points would only stretch from the beginning of the shape halfway through. The gradient will still be there, but it just means that half of the shape will be more yellow than anything else. Okay, and then all the other two colors will be covering the other half. So I'm just gonna illustrate that for you just so that you can understand what that means. So this is what it does. You see, it just basically shifted. So now the point starts from here. This would be the x0, x1, and then this would be x2. So basically it stretches from this point to that point, meaning that then this half is covered by the two colors, and then this half is the one color. So hope that makes sense. I can make it even more extreme. You see, so that's what that does. And then if both of these were 0, and let's say if this was 1, then this is what it would do. Okay, so we're gonna draw another one just so that you have all of this on the screen so that you can constantly look at it and know the differences. Okay, so that's our first gradient. So this is just a plain gradient with no other attributes, so we're just keeping it simple as that. So the next one then we're going to create will be one that basically does what I just illustrated. We're going to give this 1, and then we're going to make this 0. Okay, so now it's going to be running horizontally. I'll create another rect. And then I'll give it just different values. So I'll just say here 160. And then this one, okay, since I created second gradient, I will then give it a different ID, and then I'll do that. So there we go. So now we have the different types of gradients, but it's still a linear gradient, but the styling is different. Okay, which is determined by these values over here, the x1, x2, y1, y2, x1, x2. Okay, so now we're gonna draw the third shape, or well, basically third gradient, and then on this one we're gonna do something different. So here we're gonna use a gradient transform. What it does is it allows you to add some transformation to your gradient, and I'll say gradient transform, and I'll say equals to, okay, say our gradient transform is rotate, and I'll say 35. So wait, sorry. So now I'm gonna copy this, then create another shape here. So this will be gradient number 3. Okay, so let's see what that does. Whoa. Oh, my bad. No, I just need to I'll make this 170. Okay, so this is what we have. So now we've got a simple linear gradient, and then this one is running horizontally, this one is running vertically because of the y1 and y2 values, x1 and x2 value. And then here I just basically rotated it 35 degrees. So this is what you would get. Okay, so now since we've created our first 3 linear gradients, we're going to create another 3. Now these ones, basically what they're doing is they have different settings on them. You've got what they call a spread method. Now this attribute, it just basically determines how the gradient will be filled inside your shape. So I'm gonna create a few more shapes in order to illustrate this idea. Okay, so I'm gonna give each just a couple of different values, so that we can have all of them here and then we can see what they're doing. So now I'm gonna group these shapes because I am lazy to keep typing different values. It's a lot easier for me to do it this way. Okay, so I'm just gonna group these three here and then I'll just translate them this way. It's a lot easier. Don't have to do a lot of typing. Okay, here I'll leave it at 0 and then I'll just say 420. Okay, there we go. Well, I want to get I think I want to get the other shapes, so I'm gonna copy these two. Okay, there we go. So I've got those shapes, and so now I'm gonna illustrate the different types of spread methods that you have and what it actually means. Now the first spread method is called pad. And yeah, pad is basically the default that you get, right? So when you're using pad doesn't actually it will not change much, but I will just include it so that you know what it is and what it does. So the first spread method is pad, and as you will see, it's not gonna make any difference, so that one will be assigned here. So I'll say, there you go, pad, and then I will create another one. Then next one will be reflect. So I'll name this GRD5. So we're gonna reference that guy. Okay, so we'll say 6, and then the spread method will be repeat. And in order to better illustrate this, I'm gonna tweak the values a bit, so that what I want to illustrate can be a lot more clear. I'm gonna plot the gradient horizontal, so I will say I'll say 0.3, say 0.7. Right, so let's see what that does. See, now this is pad. As you can see, it's doing nothing. Well, not that it's not doing anything, but it hasn't really changed because by default the spread method is pad. And this is what reflect does. And so we're gonna then add repeat, and with repeat we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna basically say 0.3 there and then 0.7. Oh, my bad. Okay, so this is what you get. This is pad, this is the spread method, and this is reflect. This is what you get, and then this is repeat. Basically, it's just repeats in the gradient within this shape. And then this one is just reflecting the other part of it, but it's smoother. Okay, so I think we're gonna end it here for now. So in the next lesson, we're gonna continue with drawing radial gradients. So till the next lesson, love and peace, my brothers and sisters. I'm out. If you thought this video was good and helpful, please press that like button. For any questions or input, just remember to leave a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to my channel and I'll keep more stuff coming your way.